Heyo everybody, Haku here with my read-through for Magical Girl Raising Project or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku. The first part of the first part of chapter 12, The Magical Girl and You. Am I gonna cry for this one? I'm hoping not, but then again, at the same time, wouldn't that mean it was really good if I did? Is that maybe what you're even hoping for? But yeah, don't know if I'm gonna be crying here. Restart, the last chapter of that had me on the verge. I don't think I actually cried, but I was definitely tearing up. I was definitely close to it. But then again, this arc and Restart are totally different. But I've not been feeling so hot today, so hopefully I'll be fine through this read-through though. But I'm going to try to get through the first 24 pages. This is kind of a long chapter. I want to shoot for 24 pages, but if I only make it through 10-15 here and I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta give up and take a break, I'll record the rest tomorrow. I'm recording this Sunday, so I have a little bit of leeway to get everything done before Tuesday. So if I get through 24 pages here, then I'll do the next 22 next week and we'll be done with Limited. Then I'll do updated favorite character video. I'll do my reaction for the designs for next arc. And then I'll start reading next arc. So, yeah, was there anything else I was supposed to say here? I don't know. Guess not. It's going to be a bit of a long journey, though, depending on how much I discuss it. And, of course, I want to discuss things as much as possible, obviously. And also depending on how wordy some of the pages are and all that. But either way, after each section, I'll be stopping to take a sip of tea. It's been a long time since I recorded a read-through with some tea, so hopefully that helps me keep my voice and helps keep the spirits up so I can read through this. So either way, starting Limited Chapter 12, The Magical Girl and You, with Wedden, 3 hours, 45 minutes remaining. Everything feels like, because there are so many characters still alive, I'm really anxious about this chapter. I'm really nervous, oh my god, are they just gonna kill off a bunch of people I love? Or are they gonna or is it gonna be kind of okay? I don't know. That's a bit too optimistic for this series, but who knows. So either way, starting with chapter 12, Magical Girl and You, Wedden, 3 hours 45 minutes remaining. Even if it's impossible, I have to do it. Nanako-san took Mana's hand. I'll stay behind too. I thought I told you not to get in my way. Mana quickly shook off Nanako-san's hand. I'm not getting in your way. Just being there will get in my way. Mana was serious. She wasn't lying when she said that she said that she'd take care of this alone. Wedden's thoughts and feelings were going around and swirling in circles. Just before, Wedden was shamefully shouting, blaming the land of magic, blaming Nanako-san and Mana. Even if she beat out all of her frustration, the stagnation inside her head didn't go away. Not to mention, Wedden knew that everything could also be directed back at her. If it wasn't enough for magical girls to be admired, then she herself needs to set an example. Wedden was still a magical girl after all. That's why, please at least cooperate with us. The words spilled out of Wedden's mouth. It was from her heart, but she got cold sweat when she said it out loud. Mana shook her head sideways. Doesn't make much of a difference, no matter how many newbies help an amateur, it's still a burden. Don't underestimate us, please. I'm not underestimating you. This is just the truth. This city will be destroyed. Over 10 years of living here, everything will be gone. Her classmates that she taught in their studies, Mine's homeroom teacher who valued her highly, students who called her a score chaser behind her back, the school, all will be gone. The neighborhood grandma who always praised her with the same words since kindergarten. It's so great that you're always able to greet people with energy. The children's park where she made such a big fuss when she hit a ladder as a child. The library with private rooms that she'd use when she wanted to be alone. Mine's house, all would be gone. She knew that what she should and could do was to escape. That wasn't what a leader would do. Also not what magical girls who she continued to admire would do. Even when she was a middle school student, watching anime was the only thing she hasn't stopped. It's because there were magical girls there. There are magical girls now, right here. Wedden turned around. Funny Trick was weeping as her shoulders shivered. Kurukuruhime looked stupefied. Wedden could order these two under her. Come to me, fight together. The only ones who can save the city are us magical girls. However, wasn't that the same as telling them to die together with her? It'd be the same thing as telling them to follow her into hell. Death, dying, killing, being killed. Wedden raised her head and met Tepsukeme's eyes. Tepsukeme was alone with her always expressionless face, folding her arms and legs together, floating in the air. Wedden, what is it? Still have orders? Everyone looked at Wedden. They were listening to what Wedden was going to say. She pressed her hand against her chest. It hurts. She wanted to tear it off. What should she do as leader? She didn't want to die. She was scared. She hated seeing the city destroyed. Having important things and people all be gone was what she absolutely hated. She was scared. She wanted help. Strong thoughts and weak thoughts appeared and disappeared. It was like the back of her throat was pushed. How can she get rid of this pain? Wedden opened her mouth. First, we need to cool our heads. Mentally rather than physically, of course. If we lose our calm, we can't think of any good ideas. On top of that, please decide on your own. I won't give you any orders. She looked at Kurukuruhime, Funny Trick, and Tepsukeme's faces in order. I've decided I'm going against Mana, and I'm staying behind to fight. Alright, now we're jumping to Funny Trick at about the same time. Let me get something to drink really quick since it's a scene break. Like I said, the nerves are killing me here. So we have Funny Trick now with 3 hours and 33 minutes remaining. In the darkness where she couldn't see, Kaio was the only one crying. No one would come and save her. No one would tell her what to do either. She was sad and in pain and didn't want to do anything. If she closed her ears and eyes and cried, surely the storm will pass away too. She didn't want the city to be destroyed. She didn't want to hear anything. She didn't want to see anything. She didn't even want to be a magical girl in the first place. Everyone other than Kaio was joyed, and she was just dragged along. She didn't even believe in magical girls. They weren't things that should exist. The weapon of mass destruction seemed like a lie. Kaio, who had rejected everything, holding her head and trembling, heard Umi Shihabara screaming inside of her, "Don't be such an idiot, there's no time to hesitate." Kaio was angry at Umi's irresponsible words, and she retorted, "You always say that, Umi, but this time we're really in trouble." "That's exactly why I said it, 'cause we're really in trouble now, right? You're being reckless." "It's not reckless to a magical girl, it's just a burning situation. Just a situation. Hey, you know things like that, or, hey listen, you can't tell me you're satisfied with just escaping when they make an opening, right? Stop it already." "Umi, you want to beat me, don't you? If you can beat someone I can't beat, then you've won against me." Kaio, who always walked behind Umi, wanted to win against Umi. "But no buts. Be firm." She released all the irresponsible words and kicked Funny Trick in the ass. Funny Trick opened her eyes and Wedden was immediately in front of her. While still holding onto her head, Funny Trick muttered, "I want to fight." She felt like someone said, "You could have said it cooler, somewhere." I love this, seeing like all of their reasons for fighting, because now we have Kurukuruhime at the same time, 3 hours 33 minutes. She didn't want to think of anything anymore. Problems kept arising from one to the next, and before they could be resolved, another problem happened. She didn't have any pride as a teacher anymore. Problems that couldn't be solved by anyone can't be solved by a teacher either. Her father, he was also already gone. She had no one left. The house she was going home to would also be destroyed. The neighboring houses where a baby cried out loudly at night too. Her neighbor whose husband had to find another job because he was laid off from his factory too. And Nozomi, who had no father anymore, would also have her house destroyed. Everything would be destroyed. She couldn't resist. She was just waiting for it to pass by. She couldn't protect her students as a teacher. She couldn't protect her father as a daughter. She couldn't protect the city as a magical girl. She couldn't do anything. Surely she won't be able to do anything afterwards, too. She had lost her meaning. Did she have to act? What was Kurukuru Hime, who had no one else, doing? She had no family. She couldn't feel like working as a teacher. There was no reason for her to be a magical girl. She always remembered her father somehow. When he went to pick her up at the station with an umbrella, even in the crowd she could instantly find her father. He didn't really stand out, and his appearance was also an ordinary suit that any worker would wear. "Oh, there you are," she'd say, finding him. Then, Nozomi realized that her baby face had come from her father. She giggled, thinking about how her father looked like a child, and her father would just look at her with amazement. Nozomi had never made any barley tea. The fridge never ran out of barley tea. If the barley tea was running out, her father would put a barley pack into the kettle and boil it. She didn't ask. He knew that Nozomi liked barley tea, so we provided her with it. Her father wasn't here anymore. He was killed. He was taken. She turned her eyes away from that unreasonableness. She was powerless. She chanted how useless she was, like she was at a memorial service. Melted magma began to rumble and tried to arise from the bottom of her belly. This was anger. Why did her father have to be killed? Why did the city have to be destroyed? There was no one to silently push her forward. Kurukuru Hime stood up with her own power. "I'll do it too. Please, let me." And now we have Mana, with 3 hours 28 minutes remaining, so right afterward. Okay. Wednid declared, Funny Trick nodded, and Kurukuru Hime also offered to help. Tepsukeme was drifting with a face that said obviously I'll help too. What should Mana do? Her thoughts of not bringing normal citizens with her still haven't disappeared. No, magical girls who just started out have no fighting abilities. Nanako-san took Mana's hand once again. This time she didn't brush it away. "My boss. She told me that as a part of human resources, I'm neither a fighter, an investigator, nor an assassin. Since I couldn't fight, she ordered me to return. However, even human resources personnel have their own ways of fighting. Give me 1 hour. With 1 hour, my goggles can excavate all of your possibilities." Possibilities? When magical girls are made, they somewhat understand how their magical skill works. However, they don't stay with just that level of understanding forever. Normally they learn about their magical skills' restrictions, limits, and applications through practical use. None of you have that experience. That's exactly why I'll use my goggles. I'll analyze you all and show them how to be like veterans. Somehow, Nanako-san's hand still wasn't brushed away. Weden, Kurukuru Hime, Funny Trick, and Tepsukeme still didn't feel like backing down. Mana looked away from them and kicked the ground at her feet. "I've got some items left on me. Divide them up." Smoke pellets, canes, and a variety of other things rolled out. Mana raised her head and pointed at Weden. "We're going to negotiate with Frederica. Use your magical skill. You use your magical skill. Use your promise so we can use Frederica. Frederica might be scum, but she's strong in a fight. Stronger than any one of us." Alright, now before we get to Frederica, let me get another sip of drink, and I'm already 7 pages in. This is so good. I'm so excited to see how this ends up at the finale. But yeah, the assassin's already pretty much dead. So I guess they're just now gonna have to be trying to take out Pukin and the controlled Rainbow, unless Rainbow somehow breaks out. But now we have Pithy Frederica with 2 hours and 56 minutes remaining. People who reject you surely want to befriend you. The suspicious voice did say please to Frederica. The strange thing is, Frederica believed it. She thought it was because they had the appeal of being a useful person, but they didn't just give orders. They were teaching her what they were like. This was how this man or woman appealed to Frederica. Even though it was an electronic voice, its hidden meaning was also drawn out. It wasn't trying to deceive her, nor was it trying to comfort her into reassurance. Or what if it's Fall, even? I said before last time that it might be Snow White, but what if Snow White is using Fall because she wouldn't be able to recognize Fall? Either way, it's been a few months since Frederica's escape, and the voice told her the results of her actions, the current status being Pukin is won, Posteri and Toko were murdered, and Rainbow was under her control. This wasn't a way to show appeal, but it looked more like the rewards of her actions. The result of her actions were exactly as Frederica predicted, and once again, she didn't think the voice was lying. Since then, the phone has stopped ringing. Frederica waited patiently in front of her mobile phone, sitting zen-like underneath the vinyl sheet, allowing time to pass, waiting indefinitely, and picking up the phone as soon as it vibrated. It was from Kurukuru Hime. "This is Pithy Frederica. Kurukuru Hime? It's Wedden." "Oh? And to what do I owe this pleasure?" "I'd like to continue our talk from earlier. You want to cooperate with us, right?" "Well, well, have the winds changed?" "It's pointless to take advantage of us. If we don't catch the criminals before the barrier is lifted, the Foreign Affairs Division will launch a WMD into the city. If that happens, not even you will survive." The Foreign Affairs Division? A WMD? Is that possible? No matter how it was, it sounded impossible. However, Wedden's voice didn't sound like she was lying. Did she make a mistake somewhere? Is she still making mistakes in the progress of events? It was hard for Frederica, who'd been shut off from the outside information, to judge. "I see. It seems things have gotten out of hand. Thank you for telling me this important information. We don't want to listen to your thanks. Then allow me to share you one piece of information as well. Pukin and Rainpo have fought. Toko and Posteri have been killed. Now Rainpo has become Pukin's puppet." There was no reply. After 30 seconds of blank time, Wedden continued. "Why do you know that?" "Because I was there. When I saw it, I left, though." She realized that she sounded unnatural when she spoke. However, there was no way for them to confirm. "However, I have no reason to refuse your offer of cooperation. Both Rainpo and Pukin are two people that I am unable to deal with myself. If you tell me where you are now, I'll head there immediately." "It'd be bad for us if you suddenly came here. I'd like you to make several promises to me first, if you'd please." "Promises? We cannot trust you. We wouldn't want to be stabbed in the back once the fighting's over. We're returning a powerful weapon for you, so the least you could do is some things for us." And now we're jumping, like an hour, 30 minutes ahead from what just happened there. But we have Nanako-san at 2 hours and 35 minutes remaining. Pithy Frederica has come, wearing a veil with star-shaped decorations, a star necklace, star-painted stockings with star patterns on them, with a style of all sorts of stars, while her long hair stretched on her long skirt. If someone showed a smile, people would trust them. But if they were the type to listen to rumors, no smile would affect them. At the same time as At the same time as Frederica's visit, there was danger in the air. And it wasn't just in the air either, as Nanako-san could understand even without wearing her goggles. Funny Trick, who was captured, Kurukuru Hime, whose father was killed, Mana, who had seen Hana killed, Wedden, who had been controlled, Tepsukeme, who was piggybacking the air of this place, all of them glared at Frederica at once. Frederica placed her hand behind her head and made excuses, saying, "It was Pukin herself who did these, or Pukin had simply given me orders. My apologies." Whether Frederica was truly reflecting on these, to Nanako-san's group, she was no doubt no longer a harmful existence. The promise that Wedden made her do had 3 parts, and that was, absolutely never take action against the magical girls and mages in this place, do not lie, and after the barrier is released, absolutely never use your own magical skill to target the magical girls and mages in this place. The first part was obvious. The second one is so they wouldn't be deceived by anything she did other than the promises. The third was a precautionary measure so that they wouldn't be watched after resolving the incident. Alright. Oh, and is this... Okay, we have a illustration here. Okay. We have Pithy meeting up with the others. We see Kurukuru Hime staring, and I think that's Funny Trick to her left. And then directly in front, that's Wedden and Tepsukeme. Alright. I never noticed Tepsukeme had those spiky things on her shoulders. Alright, just taking this in. I love all the illustrations. The artist who does them is really, really good. Let me check the recording time. Looks good. And... okay. Everyone that was hoping that Frederica could be bound began discussions with Frederica, who was... hold on. Let me make sure I got everything. Solving the incident. Okay. Everyone that was hoping that Frederica could be bound began discussions with Frederica, who was hoping not to be bound by anything at all. Making these promises will affect me for the rest of my life, won't they? We don't want to be around anything dangerous, nor would we want to work with them. They pulled out points they can compromise and concede on, in times of emergency, threatening someone's right to live, emergency evacuation, firm chains of command. They discussed about a variety of things tied to each other. Still, Frederica made other promises to Mana. It'd be trouble if I willingly let myself be arrested once this is over, so I'd like to make a judicial deal with you. In short, something beyond lawful measures. You want me to turn a blind eye. Reducing my charges would just cause the land of magic to capture me again. If you act like you never saw me, we can both be happy, right? What? I don't plan on committing any more crimes, I simply don't want to go back to prison. Frederica was a rogue, and that certainly won't change. However, at a time like this, when a WMD is about to be launched into a city, she was also extremely valuable. Since she wasn't able to lie thanks to the promise, she couldn't betray or cheat them. First, you'll need to find us Pukin's whereabouts. This is you we're talking about. Obviously you'd have her hair, right? I'll do it instantly if you gave me back my crystal ball. However, please refrain from asking me to do anything to her. If I do, then I'll literally lose my left hand. They discussed how best to incorporate Frederica into their strategy. Nanako-san returned to her job. She looked at the newbie magical girls who still couldn't completely master their magical skills. Looking through her goggles, she could see their magical skills' effective range, usability, speed, accuracy. She checked everything and explored their applications. Nanako-san has seen more than 100 or 200 magical girls. She spent her experience as human resources on thinking, how can they use this magical skill? She's been finding ways on how this could be used for evil and reporting them, but she was also able to understand her target exactly. Recently, she hasn't filed any reports, but she hasn't lost her experience either. Alright, 12 pages in, and we're jumping to an hour and a half? Oh man, this is really getting down to the wire. I'm gonna get something to drink. This is so good so far, though. Still don't quite trust Pithy, though, is another thing I'm thinking. So I'm glad that the promises she made seem so all-encompassing. So now we have Pukin with 1 hour 25 minutes remaining. She bit into some ham, still greedy. She derided herself on having manners similar to Sonia. Remembering Sonia made her heart ache. Even if she ate and ate, it was still not enough. Was it not enough because of the amount of food, or was there another thing that stimulated this? She had just gotten a fairy, the best nutritional diet she could have. In terms of quality, there was nothing to complain about. Regardless of taste or texture, its nutritional quality surpassed all other foods, so she just ate Toko. My god. Pukin is so freaking, creepy, in a way. The most entertaining villain, I can say. Hopefully she doesn't kill anybody I like, though. I wonder, though, if she is actually going to kill Rainbow here, or if she's going to keep her around. Maybe they should have waited a little while to see if they could run out the clock a little and wait for her to kill Rainbow, because fighting both at the same time is going to be a real pain. Give me more. It's not enough. Yes, Rainbow was straightforward and easy to handle, obediently following any orders. Pukin was the one that made her like that. But she lacked any interesting qualities. If her priority was to handle her easily, it was only reasonable. Even if she gave her interesting orders or to tell a joke, she didn't think it'd be entertaining. Even though she tried to execute her instructions faithfully, she wouldn't be very good at it. She also thought of calling back Frederica and imposing constraints not to slack off again, but she had no means to do so. She had no means to do so. Whether she thought about Sonia or Frederica, she was uncomfortable. Thus, the reason she continued to eat without being distracted was because the people that she was waiting for hadn't come. If the investigation team had arrived when she caught Rainbow, that would give Pukin some entertainment. Trying to understand why the investigation team was slacking in their jobs made her suffer. Inside the room, she slashed on everything, whether it was the walls, the floors, the ceiling, or the furniture. Pukin brought her aggression outside. Afterwards, there was no one to attack. As a result, she had to sacrifice the idle things, like walls, floors, ceilings, or furniture. It wasn't interesting. The investigation team's incompetence wasn't good. What were they thinking, making Pukin wait like this? If they were incompetent, then Pukin had to match them. Pukin was a magnanimous and tolerant person. not only to her vassals, but she was also kind to her enemies as well. When Rainbow returned from the window holding food, Pukin gave her an order. Head outside and kill everyone you see. Destroy buildings and cars too. Don't destroy them, burn them. It'll be noticeable if smoke rises. Yes. Soon she heard screams and shouting from outside. The screams of children, the high-pitched screams of women, the screams of men. Then she heard begging for their lives, which made it all perfect. Pukin raised the piece of ham in one hand, eating a mouthful of it while she looked out from the veranda. Pigs. How nice to hear their screams. Her boring meal had become a little more interesting. She should have ordered this sooner. Okay, so we see how fucked up she's gotten, and now we have a full 20-30 minutes later with Rainbow, 1 hour 5 minutes remaining. Again, really running out the time here. Sorry, my nose itches really bad. Pukin's orders were absolute. Rainbow had no choice. She would execute whatever she was ordered. She launched a rainbow at an old couple sitting in the bench of a bus station. She shot a rainbow targeting a car speeding away. She cut the road signs and traffic lights with her rainbows. She used rainbows to each shop as she ran through the shopping district. She couldn't see what was happening inside the windows as it was all splattered with red liquid from the inside. She rolled up dust as she ran on the road, and the spray of blood continued, dyeing the roads red. Whether she wants to or not, she didn't have any ability to judge. Not killing or breaking, she also had orders to burn as well. She entered a general store, and while she searched for it, she didn't find any matches. So she went to the nearby convenience store. She asked the store clerk, "Do you have any matches?" Since the clerk only screamed and didn't answer at all, she sliced him. She remembered that a Buddhist store might have some. While she was running on the road, she used her rainbows to destroy everything she saw. She had to act accordingly to Pukin's orders. If she used multiple rainbows, it'll be easy to carry out. She split the police car, slashed the policemen, sliced the dump trucks, and sliced the huge Buddha statue installed on the Buddhist store. The Buddha statue collapsed with an earth-shattering noise, collapsing on top of the rooftop of a house and bringing it down crashing. Rainbow was only following orders. She took a box of 10 economical matches. She should be able to make fires using these for now. Pukin should also be satisfied as well. "What are you doing?" She suddenly heard a voice from behind her. While she jumped away, she looked back. She unfolded her rainbows, a total of 7, hitting her target without aiming, but yet her target didn't fall. "You really are the enemy." The body being sliced up by the rainbow gathered together. Tepsukeme was looking down at Rainbow. If Tepsukeme were here, then the others should be here as well. Kurokurihime, Weden, Funny Trick, each of their faces appeared one after the other in her head. So actually, if they gang up and take down Rainbow first, it should be easier to take down Pukin. Or do they really even need to take down Pukin, since the WMD is to stop Rainbow, really? Either way, we'll see what happens. And if they can't contact the outside, can they even stop it if they take down the two of them? We'll see. But we have now Weden with only 58 minutes remaining. Weden's magical skill was the ability to enforce any promises once they were exchanged with her. Okay. So actually, because she promised to accept Weden as her leader, whose ability is stronger, would that mean that Rainbow has to follow Weden's orders above Pukin's? Or would it be a case of could it be a case of the last order she receives? So if she orders her to kill Pukin, would she go and kill Pukin if Pukin didn't know to give her a different order? This is actually cool, because I forgot that Weden used her ability on all the people that promised to accept her as leader. Okay. According to nanako-san's analysis, there was no limits to the number of promises. Once more, there were no limits on how many people she can make those promises to. Promises can be overwritten. If they've made a contradictory promise, the newer promise would be stronger than the older one. She can enforce actions, but she can't influence thoughts or emotion. Promises can be established even if they didn't meet directly and exchange words. Similarly, she could communicate her intentions to her opponent. Okay. Also, it was based on Wedden's subjectivity. Displayed on the crystal ball was Rainbow, with a dazed expression on her face as she continued her destructive activities. It's clear that she's lost her spirit. Firstly, she can confirm that she's being controlled by Puken's magical skill. Wedden had experience with this, as she was controlled once before, so she understood. The problem was, if Rainbow was being controlled by Puken, would Wedden's magical skill still be able to work? Her words were, "You have to obey the leader." Right now she could see that Rainbow didn't recognize Wedden as her leader, but whether her magical skill would activate or not depended on how Wedden recognized Rainbow. Even if her opponent was brainwashed, lost her memory, or her personality is collapsed, Wedden had the initiative. By thinking this way, her magical skill would be effective. While looking at Tepsukeme's situation with the crystal ball, Frederica calmly said, "They're making quite a ruckus down there." Frederica was a master of self-deception, but if Wedden was firm, it wouldn't be impossible for Frederica to resist her magical skill. Yeah, Frederica is a master of deception. Self-deception. She is pretty delusional. She's showing where she is by making a ruckus. Do you think she's trying to draw us out? Be quiet, please. You're making me lose focus. Rainbow and Tepsukeme continued their long-range fighting, using ranged attacks and staying over 20 meters away from each other. Tepsukeme's body was sliced by rainbows, and Tepsukeme's attacks were blocked by rainbow walls. Understood, that's how she used them. Rainbow's consciousness is focused on Tepsukeme. Tepsukeme has played the role of decoy well to the end. Alright, please do it. Alright, roger that. Frederica grabbed the nape of Wedden's neck as she inserted her face into the crystal ball. Ow, she thought as her location instantly changed. Soon, she met Rainbow and Tepsukeme there. Wedden shouted from behind, "Please stop, Rainbow. Hurting anyone is forbidden." Rainbow turned around. Her face was still dazed. "I'm your leader, Rainbow. Don't use your magical skill. Don't kick or beat people. Don't hurt any living thing. Don't break anything. Don't commit any crimes. And especially, don't do anything that's bad." She saw light stretching. When she noticed it was a Rainbow, the nape of Wedden's neck had pulled her back. Tepsukeme and Rainbow both disappeared. Frederica was beside her. Why didn't it work? It looks like something's blocking her ears. She can't hear anything based on her movements. Blocking her ears? She did that? Tepsukeme became a decoy, and Frederica would use her magical skill when Rainbow had her attention directed toward her and have Wedden unexpectedly attack. This plan was supposed to be a good one. The sounds of destruction were getting closer and closer. Wedden bit her lower lip. Alright, so before we jump to Rainbow, we're at page 17 moving on to 18, I think, actually. No, we're 16 moving on to 17. Let me get some water and then we'll continue onward. Trying to get to 24 here, and then, I'm going to have to wait a week before... I might not have to wait a week before recording, but I'm going to have to wait at least a little while. Because I'm not going to be able to record 46 pages straight, but going to have to wait a week before posting it. So either way, it's going to suck. So, yeah. Rainbow, remaining time 55 minutes. She'd been on guard against Wedden's magical skill even when they were allies. Once she made a promise, it could be over just like that. But among her allies, if she were the only one that didn't make a promise, she'd be suspicious. She buried herself among her allies and thought of ways to counter Wedden. She thought of a simple method. Tepsukeme was opening her mouth to shout at her. She was saying something, but right now Wedden couldn't hear anything. When the battle began, she put rainbows in her ears, blocking out sound. Neither Wedden's orders nor Tepsukeme's shouting passed to Rainbow. She also considered measures to Tepsukeme. She used rainbows to shield against Tepsukeme's assault and made the rainbows stand. Then she made the rainbows stand and placed rainbows on top of them, extending the rainbows. Produced the rainbows repeatedly, putting rainbows on rainbows and filling rainbows with rainbows. If Tepsukeme were calm, she'd see what Rainbow was doing and would have shown some kind of response. However, Tepsukeme wasn't trying to avoid attacks right now. She was trying too hard to play the role of decoy, and inevitably tried to catch Rainbow's attacks without avoiding it. Rainbow wrapped Tepsukeme's surroundings with rainbows and finally centered on Tepsukeme. The rainbow-colored basketball sphere was completed. While Tepsukeme could assimilate with the wind, she couldn't escape from a sealed sphere. Rainbows superimposed repeatedly would be too strong to be destroyed by simple physical attacks. If she didn't use any special magical skill, it'd be impossible to destroy it. But Tepsukeme shouldn't have anything like that. Okay, she still shouldn't be able to kill Tepsukeme like that, because they should be able to get her out using either funny trick skill or pithy skill. So again, I'm gonna call bullshit if they kill Tepsukeme like this. Pukin at the same time. The screams and sounds of destruction gradually faded away. Perhaps Rainbow was moving while spreading destruction and slaughtering. Her enthusiasm for work was splendid, but being unable to hear background music while she was eating delicious food made her unable to enjoy it. From the kitchen she heard a crash, the sound of something falling. Sonia, Frederica, Rainbow? No response. Pukin pulled out her dagger from the sheath, quieting her footsteps as she headed to the kitchen, then somersaulted to avoid the ribbons that dived in from the window behind her. Ha, a good distraction, not a bad strategy. She chased the ribbon that escaped outside and jumped through the glass. She confirmed where her enemy was. The ribbon magical girl was running down the mansion wall. There was no one else. She couldn't sense anyone else either. Did she try to strike at Pukin all by herself? Not to mention, she escaped rather quickly. The ribbon magical girl ran down the apartment wall. She ran the opposite direction to where Rainbow was. Pukin chased after her, but couldn't catch up to her. On foot, Pukin's speed would beat her. However, the ribbon magical girl had ribbons in buildings and street signs. She moved while pulling on them, swinging on the air. Then she made her ribbons in the shape of a wheel, using them as soon as she landed on the ground, and advanced without slowing her momentum. With that in mind, she should be able to run at a speed where she could leave Pukin behind, but she kept a speed where Pukin wouldn't catch up to her or be left behind either. Was she trying to lure her? If that's the case, was she underestimating her? Pukin thought of that as she laughed scornfully. She ran on the narrow sidewalk, jumping over a group of police cars, past the footpaths between the rice fields, and into the mountain path. Was she simply choosing a place where there were less bystanders, or did she prepare a trap? They arrived at a wide open space in the mountains, a wide space about 50 square meters in diameter. There was an information sign that was made of wood. Pukin couldn't read the words, so she didn't know what it said. On the right there were stacks of timber. On the left, 3 people. Goggles, witch's hat, and a stage magician. There wasn't anything particularly strange about the ground. They didn't seem to be using any pitfalls or landmines, so why'd they lure her out here? The outskirts of the city. That's right, the barrier. Were they trying to use the barrier to weaken Pukin's combat ability? Not a bad idea, that is, aside from the fact if they could realize their plan. Okay. So now it looks like we're going to be getting another illustration. And what have we now? We have Nanako-san looking on, and we see Pukin. Alright. So, I wonder what'll happen next. What are we at? We're at page 21. Wow, almost to the goal for this one. Whatever they do, I'll just crush them all. The goggle magical girl screamed out. Be careful. Her physical abilities are higher than we expected. She also has more hearts and strength than when we fought Hana. Why'd this happen? Fairies are the best nutrients. It pulls out a magical girl's power. If they tasted a bit better, there was nothing to complain about. Okay. And now we have Wedden with 55 minutes again, the same time still. Wedden's magical skill wasn't applicable. Tepsukeme was confined inside a rainbow sphere. Almost every element of their plans have collapsed. The exhaust duct of the yakitori shop made a sound that it would break as it continued running. Underneath the sheet, Frederica and Wedden silently watched the crystal ball. Okay. Rainbow was holding a small sphere. Right. Jumping above a building, she left the destroyed cityscape behind, right, and ran atop buildings. The projected landscape they saw based off Tepsukeme's hair changed as Tepsukeme moved. Where was she going? She has the sphere, which is to say she has Tepsukeme, so the real question is, what is she going to do with Tepsukeme, right? For example, yes, even if it's Tepsukeme, she won't just be unharmed if she's pushed toward the barrier in that state, right? Oh no. That's why we need to hurry up and get that sphere. Again, couldn't they just reach into the sphere? Really? Yes, understood. Frederica inserted her left hand into the crystal ball, appearing behind the running Rainbow. She placed her left hand closely to her back, and as soon as she touched the sphere, rainbows were launched, and Frederica immediately pulled away her left hand. Blood splashed from the back of her hand. Frederica's cheeks were stained red. An assassin's senses are quite fearsome. To do this while her ears are blocked, facing an alert opponent, is a bad thing. If we approach her with my crystal ball, she'll just attack us as well. Rainbow often stopped her feet to look around at her surroundings. Are there any more attacks left? She'd judge before continuing to run again, jumping on top of buildings. I have one suggestion, if you don't mind. Frederica humbly began to talk. That casual attitude was frustrating. Rainbow isn't running at full power. She wants us to chase her. She's telling us that at this rate Tepsukeme will die, and if we don't want that, we should come to her. The rainbow in the crystal ball was running. Okay. Sometimes stopping to look at the sky. She should know that they were monitoring her with the crystal ball. Was she provoking them? Really, they should just pull Funny Trick back and then have Funny Trick steal Tepsukeme out of the ball and replace it with something else. Replace it with a bomb or something, I don't know. Okay, hold on. The rainbow in the crystal ball was running, sometimes stopping to look at the sky. She should know that they were monitoring her with the crystal ball. Was she provoking them? What should we do? Do you want to chase after her, or should we remain here? Wedden began to run without saying anything. The hem of Frederica's skirt waved, and she followed her. Okay. Wedden, you're a little slow on your feet. Could you run a little faster? That's the second time today someone told me that. She was going to give her all. She'll never regret it. She'll save Tepsukeme, and she'll save the city. Wedden was the leader, so this was just natural. And now we have Kurukuru Hime with 45 minutes remaining. She had listened to the lecture from nanako-san. There was a maximum of 260 ribbons that Kurukuru Hime could control. She can adjust the thickness of each of them from about 0.05 millimeters up to 50 centimeters. The speed of the ribbons being deployed are roughly faster than Kurukuru Hime's hand or arm speed. If she focused solely on defense, she should be able to deflect even Puken's attacks. That's what nanako-san had said. And just right now, exactly as she was told, the ribbons were deflecting the fierce blows striking her from behind while she landed. Puken, who continued to stand after, Sorry, I thought there was a comma there for some reason. Who continued to stand after she landed, had a look on her face that didn't seem good. Was she frustrated because her opponent dodged a strike that should have killed her in one blow, or was she just having doubts? She gathered her strength and attacked again. This time, Kurukuru Hime formed her ribbons into a shield and deflected it. Right now, she couldn't afford to counter with her own attacks. Puken's movements were frighteningly fast, and just keeping up would need her full strength. Kurukuru Hime placed her middle and index fingers together and bent it twice, a signal for the magical girls behind her. If she felt like she could push her opponent with force, then she'll request aid. If not, she knew not to let them come near her. The signal she showed indicated the latter. Even if the other magical girls helped her, she couldn't cover all of them. If she focused on attacks to herself, then someone will die. Okay? If she focused attacks on herself, then someone will die. Alright? Kurukuru Hime deflected with her shield. While she was swept away by a feint, she avoided a follow-up attack and jumped back. Puken was faster than nanako-san had assumed. Her parrying, her defense, her flow, and her power were also high. Even defending against one attack made Kurukuru Hime's bones crack. She can't take more of this. The speed of her ribbons was good enough, but Kurukuru Hime's physical speed couldn't keep up. At this rate, she'll be pushed back. Kurukuru Hime tore off part of her ribbon and covered it throughout her body. She sharpened the tip of it by thinning it to the extreme and stabbed her own body with her ribbon. Red droplets dripped from her hand. A blood vessel had been broken somewhere and was now dripping blood. It was probably not sweat that she was feeling washing through her face. She hadn't received a single attack from Puken. If she took even a single hit, she thought it might as well be game over. Puken jumped from tree to tree. She aimed for the thickest trunk and kicked off from it, aiming for Kurukuru Hime's back. Kurukuru Hime was able to follow her movements. Now, she was using her ribbons rather than her muscles. She managed to deflect Puken's thrust with her ribbons, blocking it using her ribbon shield. She recognized a horrible sound coming from her leg bones. They weren't broken yet. Pain covered her entire body, yet she still kept up with Puken's movements. This pain, she had to endure it. She can't stop moving. If she did, then no magical girl in her team would be able to keep up with Puken's speed. She knew the position of the barrier in advance. She had the option of directing the fight closer to the barrier in a proper fight. But, right now, this was not a proper fight. This was just something that she was doing somehow to stay alive. There was faint red in her eyesight. Did blood get into her eyes, or was she bleeding from her eyes? Her durability couldn't keep up with her movements. Puken stopped her attacks. She furrowed her eyebrows. Watching Kurukuru-hime, did she think Kurukuru-hime's strange injuries were suspicious? She said something in English, but she spoke so fast that it couldn't be understood. Even if she couldn't understand it, she was grateful. She was able to take a breather. Kurukuru-hime wrapped the ribbons on her right hand in a conical shape, and rotated them at tremendous speed. With this drill, she can blow back Puken's sword. The drill aimed at Puken ended up hollowing the ground on Kurukuru-hime's feet, thanks to her stumbling. Puken yelled out something out loud. Against Kurukuru-hime, who was on her knees, Puken thrusted her sword. Kurukuru-hime pulled a ribbon that she had tied in advance with all her strength, and she avoided the sword by jumping behind to the tree that her ribbon had been tied to. However, her collapsing posture hadn't changed. Puken made a stance with her rapier, ready to add one more attack. Kurukuru-hime's shield tripled in size, as she held it with strength. Also, if they outlast her, wouldn't Puken quickly run out of energy fighting at this high level? The attacker wasn't Kurukuru-hime. Kurukuru-hime was a decoy, tossing it to the attacker. She fanned her large shield, and the dust gathered up by the drill sword. Are we really gonna have to end here? How long is the video? It is 45 minutes. Oh god. I don't know. I think I gotta end here. So this will be a 45-minute video, and then I'll record the rest whenever I can record the rest, and you will see it next week on next Tuesday. I like that we're ending here, though. We have the fights going on, trying to take out Rainbow and trying to take out Puken, but we haven't seen anybody die yet or anything, which would make for a bad place to end. So I think maybe I should end before I read something like that. Hopefully nothing like that happens, though. I don't want anyone to die. I feel so bad right now, like so nervous for all the characters. Plus, I probably shouldn't be recording that much at once to just destroy my voice. So either way, this will be the end of it for this week, and pretty much just completely set up for the finish for next video. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this first half of this chapter. Please, no spoilers or anything, of course. So yeah, comment to tell me what you thought of this first half of the chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, then just ask and I'll give you a link. It's freedom for anyone. So that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.